Close your eyes for a moment. Picture England in the summer of 1963. A long road somewhere between Oxford and Stratford. The smell of leather warmed by afternoon sun. A walnut dashboard, warm to the touch. And a silence inside the car so complete that the only sound is the tick of a clock on the fascia. That car is gone. The factory is gone. The men who built it are gone. These are 10 British luxury saloons of the 1960s that history has almost entirely forgotten. And by the time we reach number 1, you will understand why forgetting them was one of the quietest injustices in British automotive history. Like this video and subscribe before we reach the end. 10. The Humber Super Snipe, the car that carried Britain's secrets and never said a word. While James Bond drove Aston Martins on cinema screens in 1964, the real instruments of British state power travelled in something less obvious and considerably more interesting. The Humber Super Snipe, built by the Roots Group through the early 1960s, served senior civil servants, high court judges, and police forces across England and Wales. Motorsport magazine, testing the car in June 1960, praised the folding burr walnut tables in the rear compartment, the twin ashtrays, the cigar lighter fitted for backseat passengers, and a ride that made long journeys feel less like travel and more like a well-appointed room. The engine grew to a 3.0-litre straight-six from 1960 onwards. When Chrysler absorbed Roots in 1967 and ended the Super Snipe, nothing replaced it. Somewhere in Britain today, a man in his 80s remembers the smell of that rear seat, and has spent 60 years trying to find it again. 9. The Wolseley 6110. One car that meant two completely different things to two entirely different kinds of people. This single car served simultaneously as a prestige executive saloon for directors and solicitors, and as the standard patrol car for police forces across Britain throughout the 1960s. The same walnut veneer dashboard. The same illuminated badge glowing on the bonnet like a lantern. The same 2.9-litre C-Series engine producing 120 brake horsepower. The difference was a blue light on the roof. The Mk2 version, built from 1964 to 1968, reached a verified top speed of 102 miles per hour. Exactly 13,301 examples were made. When the last one left Cowley in March 1968, Britain lost a car that had served authority and craftsmanship with equal dignity, and nobody paused to mark the moment. 8. The Armstrong Siddeley Star Sapphire, 980 cars, and then complete silence. Ian Fleming, writing Diamonds Are Forever in 1956, chose an Armstrong Siddeley to collect James Bond from the Ritz. Not an Aston Martin, because in 1956, that is what a man of genuine authority actually arrived in. The Star Sapphire was that tradition's finest expression. Built from October 1958 to the summer of 1960, records confirm 902 saloons and 77 long-wheelbase limousines, 980 cars in total. The 3,990 cubic centimeters straight-six produced 165 brake horsepower. Power steering and Girling front disc brakes were standard equipment. When Armstrong Siddeley merged with Bristol Aero Engines in 1960 and closed its car division, there was no press release, no farewell model, no ceremony of any kind. 980 cars, each built with the precision of men trained by the aircraft industry. And then silence. 7. The Vanden Plas Princess 4-litre R, a genuine Rolls-Royce engine, available for 1/3 of the Rolls-Royce price. In August 1964, BMC announced a car containing an actual Rolls-Royce FB60 aluminium straight-six, never fitted to any other passenger car before and never fitted to any other passenger car afterwards. Rolls-Royce's managing director wrote a personal letter published in the launch brochure. Hand-finished at the Vanden Plas Coachworks in Kingsbury, North London, the car produced 175 brake horsepower and reached 112 miles per hour. The price in 1964 was £1,994. A Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 3 cost £5,517 that same year. A genuine Rolls-Royce engine, finished by the same hands, at 1/3 of the price. Exactly 6,555 were built between 1964 and 1968. Britain made them, sold relatively few, and forgot they existed. 6. The Daimler Majestic Major, the luxury saloon faster than a sports car. These are the verified figures. In September 1961, the Motor magazine published road test results that stopped the British automotive industry. 0 to 60 miles per hour in 9.7 seconds. Top speed of 122.3 miles per hour. In a 4-seat luxury car weighing close to 2 tons, trimmed throughout in leather and walnut. Classic Drivers documented records confirm that this 0 to 60 time was faster than the contemporary 2-seater MGA sports car. The engine was a 4.5-litre V8 designed by Edward Turner, the same engineer who created the Triumph Speed Twin, producing 220 brake horsepower. Only 1,180 majestic major saloons were ever built. If you are watching this and thinking this is the most unjustly forgotten performance car Britain ever produced, you are not alone. Drop a comment below. We are halfway through, and number 1 is going to surprise you. 5. The Bristol 408, 83 cars built, no advertisements placed, and no explanation ever offered to anyone. Between 1963 and 1966, Bristol Cars produced exactly 83 examples of the 408, confirmed in Bonham's auction records. The 5.1-litre Chrysler V8 produced 250 brake horsepower. Top speed was 125 miles per hour. Every car was assembled entirely by hand. And Bristol placed no national press advertisements. None. The Kensington High Street showroom served buyers who already knew to find it, because people who needed to be told about Bristol were not, in the company's quiet estimation, quite the right buyers. In a decade that measured success in motor show appearances and column inches, Bristol built 83 cars for people who considered public attention a form of bad manners. It remains the most singular commercial philosophy any British car company has ever operated. Every car on this list was made by people who believed the person inside deserved the very best that human hands could produce, and what follows are the 4 cars where this story becomes truly remarkable. 4. The Alvista 21, 352 cars, each one bodied by the coach builder who dressed Rolls-Royces. Every Alvista 21 body was built by Mulliner Park Ward, whose other principal client, at the same time, was Rolls-Royce. The Alvis archive confirms from factory records that between 1963 and 1966, exactly 352 examples were completed. Each was built individually. Walnut veneer hand-matched panel by panel. Leather hand-stitched by craftsmen whose names appear in no surviving record. The 3.0-litre straight 6 produced 130 brake horsepower through a 5-speed ZF manual or Borg-Warner automatic. When the final T21 left Coventry in October 1966, a tradition of British coach building stretching back decades departed without ceremony. 352 cars, bodied by Rolls-Royce's own coach builder, known today by almost nobody. That is not a footnote. That is a loss. 3. The Jaguar Mark X, too wide for Britain streets, and too good for anywhere else on Earth. Jaguar launched the Mark X in October 1961 at 203.5 inches long and over 6 feet wide, the largest saloon the company had ever built. On Britain's narrow lanes it was awkward. On an open road it became something else. The Mark X was the first large British saloon with fully independent rear suspension, confirmed in Jaguar's own technical documentation, delivering a ride no British car of this size had achieved before. The 3.8-litre straight 6 produced 265 brake horsepower, growing to 4.2 litres in 1964. Motorsport praised the combination of genuine performance and extraordinary cabin quietness as something British engineering had rarely managed simultaneously. When the 420G replaced it in 1966, it was more practical and considerably less remarkable. The Mark X was built for a world bigger than Britain, and Britain never quite knew what to do with it. 2. The Rover P5 3-litre, 4 prime ministers, 1 queen, and a car that never once raised its voice. Harold Macmillan used it. Harold Wilson used it. Edward Heath used it. James Callaghan used it. The Queen used examples on private occasions. All documented. All verified. And through every mile, the Rover P5 never once raised its voice. Produced from 1958 to 1973, the 3-litre straight 6 was not the most powerful engine in its class. It was the most composed. The interior carried hand-stitched leather, a walnut dashboard that smelled faintly of beeswax on warm afternoons, and wool carpeting that absorbed the outside world completely. Perhaps your father drove one. Perhaps you remember the weight of that door closing, that sound, that solidity, the feeling that whatever was waiting outside had agreed, for the moment, to wait. No car built in Britain since has managed that specific reassurance so completely, or so quietly. 1. The Armstrong Siddeley Sapphire 346, 7,697 cars, 1 famous passenger, and a name history let go without ceremony. We opened with the Star Sapphire. We end with the car that came before it, the one this entire list has been quietly moving toward. The Armstrong Siddeley Sapphire 346 was produced from 1953 to 1958. Manufacturer's records confirm 7,697 examples built. Ian Fleming chose it in Diamonds Are Forever, published in 1956, to collect James Bond from the Ritz, not invented for the scene, but chosen because in 1956 a chauffeured Armstrong Siddeley Sapphire was precisely what that arrival looked like. The 3.4-litre straight-six produced 150 brake horsepower. Period road tests placed its cabin quietness alongside Rolls-Royce at a considerably lower price. And then in 1960 the company closed, and 7,697 cars were quietly forgotten. That is not a verdict on the car. That is a verdict on what we choose to remember. These 10 cars were built by people who believe the person inside deserved the absolute best that human hands could produce. Modern cars are faster, safer, and more efficient. But they are made by machines, at speed, in volumes incomprehensible to the craftsmen of Coventry and Kingsbury and Kensington. Something genuine was exchanged in that transaction. If any of these cars touched your life, if one carried your family, or lives in your memory as the car your father drove, please tell us in the comments. The car, the year, where it took you. Like this video if these stories matter, and subscribe, because there are many more, and not one deserves to be forgotten.